everyone, I'm your host Jordan Banderas, and this is the Bad Influence Podcast. But before we get started, don't forget to smash the subscribe or follow button so you don't miss out on any episodes. And let's get started. So, on today's episode, I want to share my opinion about a specific issue that is happening, or a specific season that is happening right now in the entire country and maybe even the entire world, which is going back to school. This is the season that a lot of parents are dreading right now because kids are going back to school. But guess what happens when that occurs? You have to buy new things for your kids. You have to buy new shoes, you have to buy new pants, and not just one pair, but multiple pairs. You have to buy new shirts, new everything. They want the newest phone, they want the newest backpack, they want, some of them, like me, they want the best technology that is out there right now. You know, the laptop, all of this, even though they're going to high school, you know. But by trying to do all of that for your kid, you know, buying all those nice things and for them to look nice pretty much, that puts a lot of stress on the parents. Now, I'm not a parent myself right now, but I remember how stressed my mom was around this time. Every time I had to go back to school, she will get stressed, especially here in the States, in the United States, because back in Mexico, going to school was easy. All you need is your supplies, you know, like notebooks, books, backpack, pencil, and that's it. And buy uniforms. That's it. Because down there, the schools use uniforms. But over here, you have to get regular clothing for your kids so they can go to school. They don't have uniforms. At least not all of the schools. There are some that do, but those are like private schools or charter schools. So when we moved to the States, I was like, holy shit, like I don't have to wear a fucking uniform. So it felt good. But I also saw the stress that it caused on my mom, because she has never, up to that point, she had never had to do that before. She had never had to buy me clothes just to go to school. She never had to do that. So she was stressed because she was a single mom with me. And then she still had to pay rent, bills, you know, cell phone bills, all of these things. So I saw the stress that gave her. And there were parts, or there were points in my life that I actually felt bad about it. Because one of the things that you ask yourself a lot, and I know this from other parents that are going through this particular situation, is that you're going to ask yourself, what if I don't have the money to buy all the school supplies, all the new clothes, all the new things that my kid wants so they could feel comfortable in school, you know? And a lot of parents, just like my mom, probably are thinking like, oh, I can just put that on a credit card. That's not an issue. I just put it on a credit card and I pay it later. But this is something that, like I said, this is just my opinion. And I saw it with my mom and I saw it with myself when I got into credit card debt. You have to think very long and hard if you want to do that, because you have to remember you still have the actual interest that accumulates if you don't pay it in full. So you have to think about that, because like I said, I saw it with my mom, and when I got into credit card debt. So credit card, it's like a double-edged sword. Yeah, you may get your bonus points or your cashback and everything, but in the end, debt is debt, and then that accumulates, you know, and it puts more pressure on you and probably your kid. I'm just talking from experience. And when we do this, here's one thing, like if you want to buy your kid all the nice things, even put it on your credit card or or whatever you want to use to buy all those things, is it for your kid, or is it to keep up with the Kardashians from your hood? You know what I mean? Because I've seen it, like I said, I'm talking from my own experience. I wanted to keep up with the kids from that had more money than me. I wanted to keep up with the kids that had two parents and both of them were working. They had an iPad, I wanted one. They had a car, a nice car, let's say a Mercedes or a Beamer, and I wanted one when I was still in high school, but I never got it. So was it just when you do something like that, is it to just keep up with others so your kid can feel good? Because if you're doing that, I think that's the worst thing that you can do for yourself, because you're going to put a lot of stress on you. You're going to stress yourself out because, and I mean, you're going to stress yourself out for nothing. Because guess what? Unless your kid is on 12th grade or they can pay their own college, you're going to have to do the same thing next year. And during this whole next year of a school year, guess what's going to happen? New things are going to come out. Your kid is going to grow, and probably their new clothes are not going to fit by the end of the year. So they're going to need more new stuff. So you can't keep doing that every single year. That's why I'm afraid sometimes of even being a parent, because I'm like, I don't want to put that much debt onto a credit card if I have a kid, because then my kid might feel that stress coming from me. And again, this is something that I saw with my mom, and that's how I felt. That's why I want to talk about that. So it's pretty important to not try to keep up with a richer parent. There's not a competition between you. For example, if you're like in a lower income, let's say you're like middle class, or even lower class, and you're trying to keep up with somebody that is in the middle class or even on the upper class, you're not going to win, because they have the resources and the means to be able to afford whatever the kid wants, but you don't have those means or you don't have those resources, so you're never going to win in that competition. So don't do that to yourself, and don't do that to your kid, because in my opinion, instead of us as parents trying to keep up with the Kardashians and showing our kids that they need to keep up with others, we need to teach ourselves and themselves, or I mean our kids, the value of money. We need to teach them that those $200 shoes are, let's say if you're making $20 an hour, those are 10 hours a day and 2 hours. So you will have to work one day and still work the next day in order for you to be able to afford those shoes. We need to teach them things like that. That way they recognize that money doesn't grow on trees like a lot of kids think right around this time for some reason. Like I see it on TikTok, like I see it on social media. Parents are complaining and sharing their frustrations that their kids want all of these things and they can't afford it. But I think it's good to teach them how much time you have to put into being able to buy them something. Because it's not just going to make them understand that, my dad or my mom has to work this much in order for them to be able to afford those shoes for me, or that iPad, or that whatever they want. And you also may teach them that they need to either come up with their own way. Once they start making their own money, they have to come up with their own way to be able to afford what they want. They need to save a certain amount each check so they can buy their shoes, and they can still have fun with their other money, pay their bills, things like that. Because like I said, this is from my experience. Nobody taught me that. And then when I was working on my own and living on my own with my wife, I didn't know shit. I was like, fuck, nobody taught me the value of money until I got married. That's when I learned. And that's hard to learn when you're old. So I think that kids need to learn the value of money when they're in school. That's just my opinion. And if you're not able to do that right now, teach them the value of money, or you don't want to, that's fine as well. That's totally up to you. And if you're not able to buy them whatever they need, I'm very sorry. I've been in that situation. I know how it feels, because my mom wasn't able to afford things for me as well. So I understand you, and you're not alone. But one thing that you need to understand is that you don't need to feel bad for not being able to buy them the things that they want. Because as long as they have a roof over their heads, food on the fridge that they can eat, they have a loving parent, somebody that's guiding them through life, I think you're doing great. And even if you're not doing any of that, I think you're still doing great, because being a parent is hard. Like I said, I don't have kids, but I've seen it, and it was a hard to deal with kid. I caused my mom a lot of issues, so I know what it's like. And the reason why is because if I have a kid and he acts just like me, or if my wife and I have a kid and he acts just like me, he's gonna give me a run for my money for sure. But just be patient with yourself. Talk to your kids about the value of money. Tell them that they don't need all of that. They don't need to have the expensive stuff. You can still look good in a budget. You can go to, let's say, Ross, Marshalls, all of these stores that have like good stuff for cheap. They have cheap shoes. They have cheap clothes for like $10 instead of like $80, $100 for each pair of pants. My mom used to buy me clothes from the DI, from Goodwill, and I will still buy them right now, but I have a different taste that I can actually afford. So don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad. Just tell your kid, it's like, clothes are clothes. Even if they're secondhand or even if they're cheap, clothes are clothes. And nobody, absolutely nobody, is going to know where the fuck you bought those clothes from. Unless you tell them. Right? Like, that's pretty much it. Like, you don't have to tell anybody where you buying all those things for your kids. You can buy them online for cheap. You can use coupons. You can buy them at Goodwill. You can buy it at a pawn. You can do anything you can afford to. But just don't get into debt, pretty much. Because I saw my mom doing that, and I felt bad. Because then she wasn't able to afford other things for her. So I totally understand if you're under a lot of stress. So just remember, once you buy whatever you need to buy for them, even if it's cheap, then you're gonna be done for at least this next school year. But that's pretty much what I wanted to share in today's episode. And thank you for all the messages that I've been receiving. It's great to hear from you guys. And don't forget to share your thoughts about this topic in the comments. And also, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And you can also send me a DM on social media or email me at bjordan@gmail.com. And I'll leave you with this. We need to teach our kids the value of money so they can see it as to what it is, which is hard fucking work. And have a great day.